Well, hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Awesome F1 2020 MyTeam Road to Glory career mode with, of course, realistic sponsors as well. Today we're doing episode number 4 here in at Zandvoort, so we'll see if we can have a good race like we've had done in driver career. But yes, if you haven't yet subscribed, then please do. It massively helps me out. We're currently on 208 subscribers, aiming for 250 by the end of the year. So let's hope we can. I'm going to try and see if we can push for that. But yes, we have a new sponsor. It's the form of Yorkshire Team. So again, not obviously we haven't really attracted the big major sponsors, the players yet that are in Formula 1. I imagine that will be for season 2. We still got Renault as well. I've also added the We Racers 1. I've noticed that a few people now have put that on, and also rightly so, I forgot to put it on. And also the fact that I couldn't actually find, when I originally made this livery, I couldn't find a transparent image, but now there is one available. I've added that on as well. But here we are. Here's what each of the sponsors want us to do. We're currently at level 6. We'll get a new sponsor at level 10. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to rearrange a little bit when we do that, because we're sort of starting to run out of space with Canterbury obviously wanting more positions than let's say the others, because they obviously pay more. Unfortunately though, 2 of our 4 upgrades, well, they failed. Yeah, well, actually no, 2 of the 2 upgrades, because the other 2 haven't come in yet, they both failed, which is concerning. We are trying to make progress compared to, let's say, like Alfa Romeo and Alfa Tauri, who both brought upgrades for the previous episode. If you haven't, you can go and check that out, then go and check it out. But we have our first sponsor event in F1. We've done a couple of, we did one in F2. We are in our F2 career now. We're now doing one in F1 from Canterbury. They've arranged for us to drive Sebastian Vettel's 2010 winning car around Zandvoort ahead of the Dutch Grand Prix just a few days before, and also gives us a little bit of see how we can do in this one. It was a checkpoint challenge, which is one of the easiest ones to complete. So yes, we drove a lot longer than what was expected of us, really, and we're almost up to 9 kilometers here, which is about 3 or 4 laps. But yes, we don't actually make it into the carousel. I always like that wide line. That's just my style driving. We almost got to that second checkpoint, but not quite, and we do pass that.
So the entire development package for this weekend has failed. Check your R&D screen to order any redevelopments.
So we had 4 ordered, and only 3 have failed. But they're only minor. And the good news is that the Dutch Grand Prix is still that far away that we're actually going to get them on the car in time, all of them as well. And of course, the new parts have come through, so we're just waiting for that one. We're the 3rd slowest car on the grid. Interestingly, the morale of all the departments is poor, which I really don't want them to be poor. We'll try and beef all of them up in the interviews, but we've got an interview with Will Buxton as well, which we'll get onto in just a moment. But before that happens, I was trying to see if we can unlock more activities, but it wasn't to be, really. So instead we're going to upgrade something on the aero side. I think that the aero may be something that we can do. The chassis is already at spec 1 anyway, so there's a lot of upgrades. So it's really just about looking at the aero side, and we're going to go for quality control. I think it was a tough one between that or R&D resource points generation, but I think that's what we need. in terms of the, I don't want to do either of these because they always have a morale. So, and I want to keep the cash because obviously we're halfway through this calendar and we've only got 100 grand to spare. So we'll be saving money from now on, going through and see if we can get a better
Thanks
driver.
so much for the invitation to your HQ. Let's have a little chat about the team's performance this season. Do you see your relationship with your second driver being long-term, or will you be looking for someone else if you're successful?
Callum needs good results. I mean, I wouldn't mind if you don't get any points, but like he needs to improve because his starts have been tragic at the moment, and he's just gone
Second
backwards.
driver seems to be getting much more comfortable with their car. Have you been focusing on their development?
We have been focusing on some of his development, but as I say, he needs to get more He needs to get more bigger results. Otherwise, he's going to find himself without a drive come the middle part of the season. Especially the fact George Russell looks like the cheapest good driver available. We may move to Latifi as well.
Will your team be going for the Constructors' Championship this season, or just for points?
You must be dreaming, Will. We're not Mercedes. This is a Phoenix Grand Prix car. You've not seen the car we've got. I mean,
It's safe to say that in terms of team orders, your career comes first in your team.
they need to stop coding so he sends his message because he keeps going on about it.
Your team's been picking up points fairly consistently. Do you think you'll be able to become a challenge to the top teams in the future?
Definitely yes. That's the aim of this career across multiple. It's not just the thing about this series is it's going to be across multiple games. We start in F1 2019. We're hoping to eventually we'll get to win the
Well,
championship.
thanks a lot for inviting us here. It's been fantastic.
Yes, thanks for making the appearance down the south coast of Bournemouth there. But this is what I was on about. Obviously we've got all the drivers available now, so there's the position of our lot. He's still not as good as De Vries. There's Latifi, and then there's a big gap between Latifi and then Russell. So we could afford that. It obviously depends how picky he is with his. But obviously he's going to have that score, so that's going to be an 80 rated George Russell in a Series 1 car. That would be very good to see. But we got to get through a couple more races first before we can get to fire him, and we picked up another $500,000 as well. The good news is we are getting more money as well now, thanks to that third sponsor. We'll press on for the third secondary sponsor as well, and we'll have to have a rearrange on the car at that point. Into qualifying we go, and for pretty much, well, it was only at Australia really that we didn't make it out of Q1. We're now made it out of Q1 every time now so far. Pretty simple. Obviously we're still doing the 2 runs as opposed to what many of the upper teams are doing, just as the 1 run in qualifying. But it's P12 in the end. No real surprises. The Alfa Romeo, Giovinazzi, Gasly. Maybe the Alpha Tauri is a little bit down on where it should be in real life, but the 2 Hasses and the 2 Williams are pretty much where they are compared to real life. So we're going to go into Q2. We're somehow 14th, but obviously people are going to improve. The top teams again only done 1 run. I think a couple have gone on the medium tyres as well. Don't know why when there's rain forecasted for the start of the race, but obviously they want to save that. Would you say that? I don't know, because ultimately you'd want to save the medium tyres so then you can go longer, because the rain is obviously not going to come through unless you're planning to do more than 1 stop in the race. So, but yes, into this sector we're this corner here is a corner that I always lose time to compare to the AI, and potentially a bit this corner you see that have a little bit of understeer there as we come out onto the DOS straight. But then through this sort of third sector, then we start to make up more time compared to the AI now. And of course you can see there through that complex we're now 5.5 tenths up, and we're making even more time up now. 6.5 tenths up now as we're coming out the final armed curve. So you accelerate up to the line, it's 11th. So, yes. That's a good lap. 11th is our best qualifying so far in this series. Yes, we were a long way away from the likes of Norris and McLaren, so we're still a little bit away from Q3, but we'll have free choice. Well, everyone will have free choice at task who's raining. Could be in a position for the race.
It was 35 years ago that the late great Niki Lauda took his 25th and final Grand Prix win here at Zandvoort. He came from 10th on the grid to beat his McLaren teammate Alain Prost by just 0.2 of a second. Well, Zandvoort is a very different circuit today, of course, but still one with an incredible legacy. And we're going to add to that. Welcome along to the 2020 Dutch Grand Prix. 2.6 miles then make up a lap here at a wet Zandvoort circuit, where some tricky braking zones and sudden drops can make it all too easy to slide off into the gravel. There are 14 corners overall and a 678 metre main straight, providing the best chance for overtaking. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. So, let's briefly discuss Lewis Hamilton. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Leclerc, Max Verstappen and Ricciardo, Sainz, Perez, Norris and the owner driver, Stroll, Ocon, Daniel Kvyat and Ireland, Raikkonen, Albon, Kevin Magnussen and Pierre Gasly, Grosjean, Russell, Latifi and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Well, a different note there from Jeff. I mean, obviously we didn't score points in the last race, so... But yes, obviously we're going to try and take the Inters to the dry period. Where the dry period comes, we don't know, but the start of it is going to be terrible, but this is probably the best strategy because it's not really going to be wet, as we can hardly see anybody going into turn one. We duck down the inside of Lando Norris, and with a little bit of touch ahead of Sergio Perez, but we lucky not to lose our front wing. We're trying to get round Sergio Perez. Can we do that into the carousel section? Yes, we can. Can we get around the outside of Carlos Sainz? No, we get on the curb in there, and Sainz is going to push us out. Jump to lap 2 now, and unfortunately, I don't know what it is with Vettel's AI, but I mean, first in Drive the Career Mode yesterday. If you haven't seen yesterday's Drive Career Mode, I recommend you go and check it out. And all the Drive Career Mode episodes, all 25 are now available as well, with Red Bull and AlphaTauri. But oh dear, we've had a bit of a moment here. That's going to allow Perez to catch up. He's not. It reminds me of a very old Career Mode episode when it was raining at USA. This is many years ago. Some OG subs might remember this race, but it was like F1 2017 at USA Career Mode, and well, it was Force India back then. And again, we have a little bit of a moment going into that corner. Force India are tragic in the rain. But yes, we jumped to lap 19. As we're coming in, DRS was enabled as well. Jeff has just literally come over the moment as we're coming in the pit lane saying a new strategy is available. Fortunately, we changed our tyres beforehand. Sainz though has gone out on intermediate, so that's bad. It's the crossover period. You should be onto mediums, or yeah, mediums is the best way to go. Hards is too slow, and softs you'll have to stop twice. So that's definitely a bad for McLaren. And Norris, his teammate, has actually pitted. So if I was Sainz, I'm sure he's not very happy with the team. He's going to promote his upper position, of course, because he's had to make the extra stop. But we do really, Norris is going far backwards, and really this race sort of got dull. And we jump all the way to lap 32. Nothing absolutely happened in this race. everybody was setting fastest laps, and nobody, absolutely nobody, was doing any overtakes. We couldn't look at the gap to Ricciardo, stayed around 3 seconds. Norris's gap was about 10, grew up to 12, and then he sort of started pulling it back. So 6th place. I mean, it was a very boring Grand Prix, the second half. All the action happened in the first half, but that doesn't matter. It equals our best second result. Our best equals our best result, so we crush across the line. Pierre Gasly got driver of the day, even though we didn't actually see any of him. So yes, Bottas won really supremely in the end, 9 seconds clear of that trio of Leclerc, Hamilton and Verstappen we saw briefly there. Again, this track, if you don't, you may have the pace, but as we saw in driver career mode with Red Bull, it can be absolutely frustrating around here to try and overtake somebody. And well, we didn't really have the pace anyway to kick with Ricciardo. And he started 14th. He had the position promotion as well, dropped to 17th. That might be the nail in the coffin for him, unless he needs points now, otherwise you're gone. But yes, Bottas moves ahead of Hamilton by 5 points. Those two, a bit like real life really, apart from the Ferraris, with those two miles ahead. In terms of the constructors, now we're starting building a bigger gap to AlphaTauri, which is good news. Keeping 7th place. Renault move up to 4th with that good result for Ricciardo. So we're in the midfield battle, and it's only going to get better when the R&D keeps upgrading.
So that was an exciting race from our perspective. Let's have yours. You really cut your way through the field today. What was your strategy?
Making up positions on the start. I mean, we had a good qualifying as well. The Sashi as well was good.
Your team must be ecstatic with how you're performing.
You mean my team? Yes, my team are. We're happy with the position that we're in for 7th place.
How do you feel the weather affected the outcome today?
Well, for Sainz it was the curtains. I don't know what McLaren were thinking of, pitting on to another set of inters, but for us, we just settled down, and as soon as the heavy rain subsided, we found our groove.
To end your race with that crash?
No comment there. I don't know what you're on about,
Great.
Claire.
Well, that's everything.
She doesn't start anymore as well. That's something I've noticed. But yes, here we are. We've got our rival of Kimi Räikkönen now, and it's 5-4 in the championship. So me against Kimi is going to be a juicy rivalry. In terms of our statuary, we're up to level 5 in the claim. Callum's up to level 6, and we move up to level 7 in terms of team. We've got a bit of a way now to the next Grand Prix in Spain, so we'll obviously upgrade. We're up to 1.5 million as well, so I think we will go for Russell. We'll probably put $6 million in the bank, just in case. We don't obviously want to overbid for him, but at the same time, I'd rather have Russell see what he can do with the car that we've got, because Ilott is definitely not performing to where the car could be like we're doing. I'm also looking at seeing where the car is the weakest. Maybe weight reduction, but the Sashi is good there. We got one more minor on the Sashi side. The aero side is maybe a little bit weak. We've got a couple there that we can do. Well, we will of course have that upgrade on the aero side as well. What I don't like about this is we've got these question marks upgrades as well there, which I don't get, because we can see upgrades on the other side. If it was just question marks and not being able to see, then that'd be fine, but that pretty annoys me. We're also probably going to have to take an engine penalty at some point as well, because of that, because of the wear is a little bit too high as well. So we'll all take a little bit look at the durability as well. But yes, that's going to be it for today's episode of the F1 My Team career. If you have enjoyed, then leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and you see more episodes of some F1 2020 gameplay as and when it comes out. Until the next VR time, take care. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your day, and goodbye.